Hey guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here. Today I want to talk about travel speed versus combat speed. Now I made another video like this prior, I forgot how long ago it was, but it was one of my early on videos. I talked about lifting strength versus striking strength. Basically in that video I was trying to explain the difference between how hard a character can hit and how much a character can lift, and why there's no real correlation between the two, and that trying to use lifting strength as how strong the characters are doesn't really work well in a fight. You need to focus on the striking strength. And I did say in that video I'm going to talk about travel speed and combat speed, because these are terminologies that are used a lot in the debating communities, and it's still a big hot topic in the debating community as a whole. There's a lot of sides that make these arguments, because a lot of people, when they do videos about how powerful these characters are, like for the strength department, they usually use how much they can lift or how much they can throw. And then there's people saying, well, that doesn't matter how much you can lift, it's about how hard you can hit. So they talk about combat strength. And then when it comes to speed, people talk about how fast a character was able to move from one place to another in a certain amount of time. Whereas once again, people on the other side are saying that doesn't matter how fast they can move from one place to another. It matters how fast they can move in a fight. That's where we get combat speed from. So we get these different terminologies, and we have these these arguments and discussions between these different types of ideals, and we're trying to see which one's right. The point of these videos for me is to explain what they mean and why I believe one is correct compared to the other. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, before I get into it, I do want to thank a new subscriber of mine. His name is Harold. I think it's Harold Bonfim. Sorry if I butchered your name, but once again, thank you to Harold Bonfim for subscribing to my channel. This means a lot. I'm still a very small YouTube channel. I'm still starting out. I've been trying to get my setup and stuff perfectly, and make YouTube an actual career and make something out of it. So when I see people subscribing to my channel or liking my videos and stuff like that, it really does mean a lot, and it helps out a lot. So thank you for that. That means everything to me. So once again, thank you for that. I've also just recently created a Twitter account. Let me check the URL. I forgot what it was. Yeah, so my name is Dragon Ball for Life, and you can find me at capital D, capital B, life underscore style. That's my tag, and my name up there will be Dragon Ball for Life. It also has the image on my profile too. I just started it yesterday night, so I follow like 13 different outlets, mainly anime stuff, and I'm going to be posting some of my videos, some of my older videos onto Twitter, and I will be, just trying to talk on there. I know it's, right now I'm kind of small, but later down in the future, when my channel does get big, I'm going to definitely need certain outlets to connect to you guys, and I will want to do a Q&A in the future when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I want to do a Q&A and, just answer your questions that you have any for me, whether it pertains to Dragon Ball or comics or whatever. I'll love to do that in the future. So I have that set up. If you guys want to go check it out, you don't have to follow me. You could just go check out, watch some of my videos, interact with me. Anything you want to do is fine. So yeah, that's it for that. Let's go back to the video itself. Now let's talk about travel speed and combat speed. How do you calculate these two? That's what really matters, because in these fights with these characters, we need to determine who would win in the fight, who is strong enough to handle the other in the fight. So when we talk about travel speed, we basically mean how fast the character is able to go from point A to point B in a certain amount of time frame. This is how we do to, just think how fast somebody's moving. Either they're doing the 100-meter dash or a 500-meter dash, and we see how much time it took them to get past there, and that's how we clock in their their speed. But for these characters, usually you can go from any range, and we get to ridiculous amounts, even beyond speed light, which it's not real in real life, but it doesn't matter because it's fiction. But when it gets to those lengths, then it starts to become more difficult and more confusing, especially when you're going even at the speed of light. Science and the way the world works, it kind of starts to warp and change into a way where it's like, it's hard to calculate. So that it gets a lot harder than a lot of people think. So that's how we do that. It's very simple. Combat speed is a lot more complex because there's a lot more moving parts to it. For example, combat speed is about how fast somebody is able to fight, which is a simple and broad term, but what I mean by that is it has multiple subsets for that. For one, how fast are you able to strike? How fast can somebody throw a punch or a kick, and how many punches can they throw in a certain amount of time? Let's say 1 second. How many punches could a character throw in 1 second, or kicks? And then the second thing is, how fast could these characters dodge? Like in Dragon Ball, when you see them getting punched close range, they're dodging, moving side to side, or moving like this. So it's like, how fast can they dodge close range attacks? Then it's also far range attacks, like energy attacks. Like if there's an energy attack moving at fast and speed light, are they fast enough to dodge to the side and completely dodge it? Or would they get hit? Or would they completely dodge it move to a different location? That's how fast they are. That's also another thing. And then it's also blocking, because a lot of things that people forget is, if a character is not as physically strong or durable, they can block, and that can still minimize it, so they won't need to be that strong. For example, like Dragon Ball characters, when they block, they can minimize the damage significantly. Obviously, it's better to dodge, but if they can't and they block it, they can stop it significantly. So even if they're not physically as durable, if they're fast enough to block, then they can protect themselves. So that also matters, how fast the character can block. Once again, like in close range or far range. So those are some of the stuff for that. Also, like countering, either with an energy attack or a physical attack. So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to combat speed, because it's how fast you can throw punches and kicks, how fast can you block, how fast can you dodge long range and short range attacks, how fast can you counter attack with energy attacks or a physical attack. And then also, when you have their energy attacks, you have to also calculate how fast their energy attacks are moving. Like if Goku fires a Kamehameha at somebody, how fast would it be moving? Because let's say there's a character that can move at the speed of light, and he fires this Kamehameha that's hypersonic. If a character's faster than the speed of light, they would be able to easily dodge that. And it's not because that they're super fast. It's just that it's kind of slower. So there's that. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. It's far more complex than just travel speed. But which one is correct? Some people say that there's no real difference, or you can basically substitute combat speed for travel speed, because if you're moving that fast, like running or flying, then your body can move that fast, which is not true, because different individual parts of your body, like your fists, your feet, your legs, your arms, move at different speeds because of the amount of mass they might have. So it's different for everything. And I saw this one bigger YouTuber, I forgot what his name was. He was a former moderator for Dragon Ball Wiki or whatever, and he was doing videos on this. It was very insightful, but I just see some stuff wrong with it. He said in one of the videos that travel speed can be there's no difference between travel speed and combat speed, because a marathon runner can run at top speed and then jump over the hurdles that they have there. They can jump over. That's basically moving their legs at that speed. But when you're in fighting, you're not throwing punches and kicks while you're moving most of the times. You're doing it in a stationary position. Maybe your top half is moving around, like swooping around and stuff, but your bottom half, not so much, unless if a punch is coming at you, then you move to the side. But when you're throwing punches and kicks and hooks and uppercuts, you're usually stationary or just moving with the momentum in a certain direction. So it doesn't really count. I think, no offense to him, but I don't think he understands this stuff very well. He was good at a lot of the moderating stuff, but I feel like a lot of people that do this, they have some sort of basic knowledge, but then they don't know the full thing. And that's what I felt with this. I was like, this guy clearly doesn't know anything about fighting, because if he did, he would know it's not that simple. We've seen it multiple times where fighters have talked about it, and even in comics with Batman, it's been stated that, travel that just because you're able to move fast, run fast, doesn't mean you're able to be a fast striker. Batman used a great quote against Superman. Superman and Wonder Woman have an argument who would win a fight. Superman said, "I'm so much faster than you." And Wonder Woman said, "That doesn't matter. I have muscle memory. I'm faster in combat." And Superman's like, that doesn't make sense. And he asked Batman. Batman basically gave him a rhetorical question like, "Who's faster, Bruce Lee? Who's faster, Bruce Lee or Usain Bolt? Now, who's a faster striker, Usain Bolt or Bruce Lee?" And he kind of figured out. He's like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." Because if you were having like a striking contest between Usain Bolt and Bruce Lee, hitting a punching bag with punches and kicks, Bruce Lee would be way faster. If you had them running, Usain Bolt would be way faster. So there are different parts of muscles that you're working on and exercising. Obviously, you can help out, but there's more to it than that. A martial artist is going to have faster striking or faster kicks than a runner. Just because their legs are able to move faster doesn't mean they're able to use that for kicks and stuff. So yeah, and there's a lot more to it than just that. So yeah, that's just incorrect 100%. I do agree the combat speed matters more because there's more to it than just moving from one place to another. That's just a little too simplistic in my taste. This character moved from there to there. It's like, yeah, I get it, but travel speed and combat speed are two different things, and here's why. There's characters like Superman who we've seen go faster than speed of light easily, but then when we see his like combat feats, there's no feats of him going faster, fighting faster than light. It's usually him fighting faster than the speed of sound. People saying he can phase through this, and that's like, well, phasing is literally, you only have to go faster than the speed of sound, and we've seen Goku do it multiple times way before he got like, super fast. So those type of stuff is not that impressive, especially when it comes to a fight, and that's what really matters is a fight in the end of the day. Who is the faster fighter? And here's the thing, even if you want to say, trial speed is better, okay, well, if you want to stop anybody from criticizing it or just like completely discrediting you, why not just use the combat speed? Why not just use feats of that? Because if that's the case, then there should be a ton of combat feats where it shows that they're that fast. And the fact that you are complaining about it or not doing it, that shows to me and the audience that maybe travel speed and combat speed are two different things. The fact that you're only using travel speed instead of combat speed, because people always, when they use Superman speed, they only use how fast he use his travel speed. They never use how fast he is in combat. They have very little of that in combat. So it's like, how can I take that seriously? I mean, even the Flash, there was a comic book where he fought like a future version of himself who had like a blue mech suit, and he's beating the crap out of him, and he's like, he basically starts reprimanding him and telling him, all you do is use your speed, you don't know how to fight. He's like, if you learn how to fight, you would have been better. And he told him that, I remember when I used to be like you, and I would just rely on my speed alone, but then I knew that was limited. So he learned how to fight, and he started beating up, Barry, because he realized that speed alone is not going to help you in a fight. You need to have some fighting skills with it. So, even if a character is far faster, like moving from one place to another, if the other character is a better martial artist and knows how to actually fight and use that speed, that's far more important. And also, even if you are faster, your attacks are going to be more linear. We've seen this once again in Dragon Ball. We've seen characters who are fast and they're linear and they're getting tagged by characters that are slower simply because they had better combat sense and were better martial artists altogether. So that does matter. And like I said, even if you want to argue that and say, no, they're equal and stuff, or you can use travel speed, why not just use some combat speed feats? Because I keep on hearing people trying to discredit my video. I'm like, okay, I'm going to prove it by showing this so, I can prove it. But the fact that they're not doing it shows that there isn't a direct correlation. There might be some connections, but there's not 100%. Just like with lifting strength and strength. Yes, lifting can, increase your punching power or your striking power, but just because you lift a certain amount does not mean you're going to hit that hard. There's a ton of people that don't lift weights and hit harder than people who do. So it's far more complex than that when you think about it. Also, speed alone is very complicating because there's also intricate details about it too. Like, for example, if you compare Flash's speed to Dragon Ball character speed, it's far different. The way Flash's speed works and like Superman and the characters from DC is when they first initially start off either running or flying, they start off slower than their max. So they start off kind of slow relative to what they are able to move at, but they move slower. And as they time progresses, and it's a fraction of like time, like very, very short, but as time progresses, they start to get faster and faster and faster. They consider it as an acceleration. So the more they run, they accelerate, and they become until they reach their max speed, and then that's when they're moving at until once they go too far, then obviously they're going to slow down because we all have even these characters have limits to how much stamina they have. But yeah, initially they start off slower and then gradually they get faster and accelerate, and then they hit their top speed, and then they start to lose energy, then they start to decelerate. But usually they go like that. Whereas Dragon Ball is different. They have a thing where I consider it as burst speed, whereas instead of them starting off slow and going fast, the Dragon Ball characters, when they initially fly, they move at their top speed. They move at the highest accelerated speed, and then as time passes on, they start to decrease and then hit their regular normal speed. And that regular normal speed is just how they fly until they get tired and lose their energy. So whereas like Flash, he has accelerator speed, starts off slow, and then as time passes, he goes faster and faster. Dragon Ball characters, they start off super fast and then it starts to slow down. I don't know to how much of an extent, but it slows down definitely compared to what they first start off, to a point where now they're slower, but it's more consistent, and that's the consistent speed that they move at. So that's how that works. Also, when you have like light moving faster than light, people don't understand. I hear people saying, "Oh, this character is has immeasurable speed. This guy has infinite speed. This guy has incalculable speed." Some crap like that. These are different terminologies for like very insane like speed feats. But to me, if you think about it, if you know science, these statements don't really make much sense. People like for a fact, there's like this one where like it's like incalculable speed. It's basically if you move fast enough that time stops, and apparently if you're faster than the speed of light or faster, you're not considered that. You have to be way faster. But that doesn't make sense, because if you move at the speed of light, time would stop basically stop anyway. So that terminology makes no sense. That you're saying you have to be way faster than light for you to achieve this. But that phenomenon can be achieved by simply going even at the speed of light. Because the more you go, the time starts to dilate and decrease, and until you hit like light speed, then it hits zero. So yeah, people saying this, I feel like a lot of times they say these terminologies and stuff, but don't understand it, and they make these statements, and it's like scientifically you don't understand what you're saying. That's not how it works. Science would disprove your argument, because, like I said, just moving at the speed of light, you will be stopping time. So you wouldn't need to be insanely faster, like measurable speed levels. And some of these other ones, like you went an infinite distance in a finite, in either like a short amount of time, or you went an infinite distance in no time. Which, once again, if you're moving at light speed, there would be no time anyway. And on top of that, people saying that, they say that, but they never really bring up feats or show characters that have done that. I don't think that's really logical or plausible. And also, people need to realize how time manipulation works. Because once you go to these higher speeds, time starts to get affected. Like I said, going on speed light stops time. And I will be making a part 2 to this, talking about incalculable speed, immeasurable speed, and infinite speed. I'm pretty sure those are the terminologies. I'll watch a video on it because I saw it, and then I'll make a video about it tomorrow. So I'll talk about that. But yeah, once you go to those levels, you're affecting time, and people need to realize how time manipulation works, because there's 2 ways to manipulate time. One is through speed, 2 is through a technique. Some people have abilities where they can affect time, and other characters just move fast enough where time gets affected, or it seems like it's affected. But for them, it's like they're just too fast. So it really depends when you're describing these, because if you have a technique, it really depends. If you have speed, if you have a technique, it can overcome that speed. But if you also have a certain level of speed, you can overcome that technique. And it really depends. Like, for example, when I'll be using this case, and this is a video I'll probably make sometime in the future, but when we talk about like Giovanni from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I think it was like part 5, he has an ability where he can basically rewind everything back to zero. If somebody tries to attack him or something happens, he can rewind it back to zero and restart everything. And he did this against this guy called the Crimson King, and he had this weird ability where he can selectively like delete or erase time. So he pauses time and then he erases certain sections of people's time. So he can basically like rewind, or it's like a more complex version of rewinding and stopping time and stuff like that. And Giovanni and his his stand, I think it was Platinum Gold Requiem or whatever it was called, he was able to move through it and, attack him. And people said, well, that means that they're faster than the speed of light, the only way you can beat him is if you have immeasurable speed, so you have to be way faster than the speed of light, since he's able to go against time-altering powers. But here's the thing, that does not make any sense. What happened here was he used an ability, and his stand had a hex ability to break time-stopping abilities. So he used a time-stopping ability to stop him, and since his stand was powerful, had some weird power, it could basically negate other hex abilities. So his hex ability of stopping time, it can move through it. That doesn't mean he was moving at the speed of light or at measurable speeds at all. It just means that he had a hex ability that negated his ability of time affecting. But if he fought against somebody who moved at the speed of light, who seemed to be like light, time stopping, is different than having a technique that literally stops time and erases it. So if he was to fight a character that was faster than the speed of light, his perception would be time stopped, but time wouldn't be stopped. The only reason that he was able to move through that was because time was physically stopped, and he was able to break through that. But if he's against a character that moves so fast that it seems like time stopped, he can't stop that because he can't react to that because he can't see that unless if he's at those speeds himself, which that feat itself, he was moving through it. It was not because he was super fast. He was moving through it because he was stronger. And we've seen this with the world in part 4, or no, it was part 3, yeah. With the world, people were saying this means that Dio and I forgot what the other JoJo guy's name was, are basically faster than the speed of light because they were able to stop time. Here's the thing: they stopped time through a technique. They were still moving at their regular speeds. They were not moving at the speed of light. When they were fighting in combat, they weren't moving at the speed of light. They were using a technique that stopped time, and it was a short range too. Because outside that range, your time wouldn't be stopped. You would just be seeing like stop time right there. So people need to also understand the difference between, because when you go in the higher levels of speed, time gets manipulated. But they need to understand there's a difference between how time gets manipulated and how you manipulate time when it comes to a technique compared to speed. Speed is completely different. It's more of when you're moving that fast, you're not technically really stopping time. You're moving so fast that the perception of time seems like it's stopped. Whereas using an ability to stop time, you're literally stopping time. So when Golden Spear's Requiem was able to move throughout, the Crimson King's ability, it was because he had an ability to negate any other hex abilities that would, affect him, like time stopping. But if a character was moving faster than him, he would not be able to react to it. And that does not mean that the Golden Spear's Requiem or Giovanni were faster than the speed of light. They were not showing anything at speed of light at all, and that doesn't improve it. Just like the whole world doesn't show the ability, the world doesn't show that you can move faster than the speed of light. It just means you have the ability that have effects like how speed light would. So technically, if you use against somebody who's faster, you could have broke through it or whatever. So it really depends on that. Speed is a lot more complex. I'm gonna make another video about it because it's more complex than lifting strength. But even just in general, like if we were to use travel speed, like I said, there's two different speeds: acceleration and burst speed. So those are different in its own right, and it's completely different in combat speed. There's a lot of other stuff to it. The only thing that I'll say that in combat speed that is exactly just 100% travel speed is when it's an energy attack, because for an energy attack, you just need to calculate the distance it went and the amount of time it took to go to that distance, and that's how fast the energy attack is. Also, you can make calculations off of that for how fast the characters can block or dodge. Because if the attack is, let's say, moving at a speed light, and these characters are able to dodge it or block it, that means their reflexes are fast enough to either react to and block the speed light, not fast enough to dodge it, but fast enough to react to and block it, or if they're dodging it, they're fast enough to not only react to it, but even fast enough to evade it and avoid it. So there's also that stuff. It's far more complex. Personally, if I was to do any of these, versus videos and bring up stats of these characters, I would just rather say, oh, this character was able to throw this many punches at this amount of time. This character was able to dodge and block these attacks coming out at this high speeds, instead of just saying they were able to move from one place to another this fast. So yeah. That's it for this video. This is going to be only part 1. I'm going to make a part 2 to this. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.